Hi, everybody. It's me, Dawn. Happy Saturday to you all. Um, I hope you all are doing fantastic. I'm doing very well, actually. So I'm grateful for the good days that I do have. Today's video, if you can see by the title, is titled, Why Am I Anemic? And I want to give a little disclaimer right now. If you are a guy who is watching, there's going to be some TMI information about womanly cycles and things like that. And if that grosses you out, feel free to click off of my YouTube video so you don't have to hear it. Or you can go ahead and listen. It's up to you. I mean, I'm not ashamed that I'm a woman. So, but I was just putting that disclaimer out there. So, I have some notes that I took because I won't remember everything. But most women are iron deficient or they are anemic. And it's because we bleed every month, some more than others. And men can be anemic as well, but it's mainly in women. It really is. And my story begins when I was a teenager. I'm not sure what age, but I guess I could say maybe I was like middle or young to middle teenage years when I noticed that I just started craving, not craving, but just like crunching on ice. Like if I had a cup of soda or a cup of water, I would put extra ice in it and just eat it. And I didn't think nothing of it, you know? And neither did my mom. Nobody thought nothing of it. And one of the symptoms, or there's many different symptoms of um, of anemia. Sorry, my brain is just, oh my goodness, is your body's craving stuff. Like my body craves ice, and I know someone who craves eating like bagged flour. Like her body craves that crunchiness from the flour. I'm just like, ew. I was like, no, I chew ice. I used to chew really big ice cubes. Now I'm down to like crushed ice. Crushed ice is really good. So like Sonic's ice. Oh my gosh, I love Sonic ice. Okay, so anyway, let's see. Yeah, I believe my anemia started when I was a teenager. I wouldn't know because of the fact that my mom never took me to the doctor unless I was literally dying. So because she didn't have any insurance on me, she was a single mom, and um, so okay. So I mean, as a in my early teens, I just started chewing ice, and nobody thought nothing of it. My mom would always tell me, "You need to stop chewing ice. You're gonna break your teeth. You're gonna break your teeth." Even now, I'll be on the phone and I'll be talking to her, and I'm like crunch, 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 and she'll be like, "What are you eating?" I'm like, "Ice," and she's like, "Stop it. You're gonna break your teeth." I'm like, "Well, they're not broken yet." So sorry about that. And so okay, so let's fast forward to when I was in the army when I was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas. It's about the year 2000. And instead of going to PT in the early morning, I asked my squad leader if I can go to sick bay or sick call or whatever because I had not been feeling good for like at least 3 or 4 weeks. And I was feeling extremely fatigued and I had no energy and I just literally wanted to like die. And she's like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead, go ahead." So I went down to the TMC, the Troop Medical Clinic, and I explained to the doctor um, what my symptoms were and how I've been feeling and things like that. And he's like, "You sound more than likely that you have. It's more than likely you have anemia." And I was like, "What is that?" And then he explained it to me. He's like, "Oh, it's very common among women who menstruate." And I'm like, "Okay." So he's like, "Let's draw some blood and we'll check your numbers." I'm like, "Okay." So he drew my blood and then I waited for like an hour out in the waiting room and he called me back in and he's like, "Yep, you're anemic." He's like, "So we'll just go ahead and we'll prescribe you some iron pills at the pharmacy, pick them up, and you're good to go. And try and eat more iron rich foods." And as like a 19-year-old kid, I was like, "Sure, okay." It's like I didn't bother to ask any questions. I didn't know any better, I was dumb. And so he sent me on my merry way. And I did take, but those iron pills he prescribed me. I think I took one a day. I think they were red. I don't remember now. That's like 20 years ago. But I don't know if it helped or not. Maybe it did. I don't know. I don't remember. So at least that was my official iron deficiency diagnosis when I was in the year 2000. So let's fast forward a little bit. Since 2000, I had been taking various iron pills on and off. And it's because I get lazy in taking pills. I really do. Except for my medications. But I just get lazy. Like I'll go days without taking my multivitamin, or I'll go months without taking iron pills. And it really has an effect on me. And it's just out of laziness, you know? So let's fast forward to what year would it be? Um, hmm. Because I've had various episodes. I don't. Okay, I was here. We were here in Texas. And I don't remember what year it was. I know it was. I think it was maybe 2009, maybe 2010. Um, I had been having like an irregular heartbeat for about a week, like almost like AFib. My heart would be like, and then go back to normal, and it literally left me breathless. I mean, I was breathless, and I was like, oh my god. Every time it happened, I'm like, oh my god. And so um that went on for like a week. And I remember one morning when my husband was getting ready for work, I said, look, I didn't have any insurance at the time, but I was like, dude, it's getting worse and I'm scared. And I'm just gonna let you know, I may call an ambulance to take me to the hospital because this has got to get looked at. I was like, I'm scared. It's making me feel weird and things like that. And he's like, oh, don't do that or whatever. But then at the end, he's like, do what you have to do. And I'm like, okay. So, excuse me. I, um, I, the first time it happened that day, I was just like, okay, okay, just let it go. Let it, calm down, breathe. But the second time after it happened, that's when I did. I called 911 and I said, look, I don't know what's going on with my heart, but it's scaring me. And I explained to the dispatcher. And she's like, it's okay. Go ahead and get you someone out there. I was like, oh, thank you. And within minutes, I mean, a fire truck and a ambulance pulled up to my driveway, and they came in and they hooked me up to the little finger thingy that checks your pulse, I think. And they took my blood pressure, and they were just they asked me some questions like, how I was feeling, what did I eat that day, stuff like that. And I explained to them what had been going on for the past week. And he's like, then he was like, are you diabetic? I was like, no. And he was like, well, we can't force you to go to a hospital, but you should really go and get checked out. We're actually kind of concerned for you as well. And I'm like, oh. So I was like, well, okay. And I was just going to go ahead and walk into the ambulance. And they're like, no, you have to get on the stretcher and we take you into the ambulance. And I'm like, but I can walk perfectly fine. And they're like, it's just safety protocol. I'm like, okay, can I at least lock my front door? They're like, yes, of course. So I lock my front door. And of course, you know how neighbors are. They're all nosy. They're all standing there watching, wondering what's going on with me. And it's just like, whatever. I don't even know who you guys are. Go back in your house. But so we get in the ambulance, and the dude who was sitting next to me, he hooked me up to an IV, I think, but he also started putting on those little like sticky things so he could do like a portable EKG. And I would tell him every time I would, because I could feel that coming and get ready to come on. It's a horrible feeling. And I remember on our way to the hospital, he was just like, I told him, I was like, it's coming. I feel one coming right now. And sure enough, he's like, yep, there it goes. I'm like, oh my God. They also put, no, it wasn't an IV. They put an oxygen thing that went around my nose to give me more oxygen. That's what it was. It wasn't an IV. Okay. And so I ended up going to a hospital in Mansfield, Texas, because they're like, you can go wherever you want to go. We'll take you wherever you want to go. And I didn't know any hospitals. We had just moved here like 2 years prior. So, but they're like, we can take you to Methodist Mansfield. I'm like, okay. So I didn't know any better. We got there. And, but before I go into that, I want to say that hospital is really wonderful staff, nurses and doctors. So and very clean. With that being said, so I get wheeled into a room, and a nurse comes in. She was so sweet. I still remember her. And she gets all my information again. And she draws some blood. She also puts me on one of their EKGs. And we just talk for a little bit. And then after she takes the blood to the lab, I'm just sitting there waiting. And And the EKG, of course, came back fine. EKG is fine. Okay. And about an hour later, this man walks in. I guess he was the doctor. I mean, I saw him for like less than 10 seconds. He comes in, he's like, oh, the reason why you're having those heart issues is because you're anemic. You're iron deficient and your heart has to work harder to make more blood or something like that. He's like, your numbers should be this and it's this and it's like really low. And I'm like, okay. He's like, so you just gotta take some iron pills and you'll be good to go. And he just like walks out of the room. And I'm like, what if I had questions, you know? like like, oh my gosh. So that's doctors for you, right? So anyway, the nurse comes back in and gets my discharge papers ready, and then my husband picks me up, scared to death. He thought I was dying, but everything was fine. And okay, and so I get back on iron, and let's see, that was then. I'm trying to think of. I didn't really write everything down. I'm trying to go by memory. Let's fast forward to 2017. Yes, I think it was like 2017. I had health insurance. I was working at the time at the gas station, and I had really good health insurance. So I went to the little walk-in clinic that was next door to my gas station to get seen for a physical, according to my insurance. And the physical that they did was I had my weight checked, I had my blood pressure checked, and then they just drew blood, and that was for free. So okay, they drew blood. They're like, come back in 2 days for the results. So okay, I came back 2 days later, and they're like, well, you're vitamin D deficient, which I knew because I have issues with vitamin D because I don't go outside. I mean, look at my white pasty skin, okay? And then he's like, and you're anemic. Your number is it should be 22 or higher, and your number's at 13 or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I know I'm anemic. I was like, I've been anemic like my whole life and been taking iron pills, and nobody wants to like probe any further as to why I'm anemic. I was like, I get it. I bleed every month. I'm a woman, but nobody wants to go and find out if anything else is wrong with me. And they just keep telling me, take iron, take iron, take iron. And to me, I mean, at that point, I was just tired of it. I was like, there has to be an underlying issue. And he's like, well, we'll find out. He's like, I want to schedule you for an ultrasound. I was like, oh, wow, a doctor who cares, I was like, geez, because no other doctor really cared to go to dig further to find out if something was wrong. Maybe I had tumors or fibroid or cancer or whatever. And so I was like, thank you. So I think the following week, I went to some imaging place in Arlington, Texas, and I had my ultrasound done. And of course, I begged the ultrasound tech. I was like, "Do you see anything? Do you see any like masses? What do you see?" And she's like, "I'm not allowed to display the information to you. Your doctor will explain everything when you go get the results. When the results return to him." I was like, "Come on, it's my uterus or whatever. I need or my ovaries. I need to know what's going on. What if I'm dying?" So, but of course, she's like, "Oh, I can't tell you anything." And that ultrasound, I mean, because it was on top of like everything. It wasn't like a transvaginal or anything. Man, I didn't know you had to drink. You literally had to drink like pints of water, and not go to the bathroom to have that ultrasound. I tell you what, as soon as she was done with that ultrasound, I like bolted it to that bathroom because I was like, oh my god, my bladder hurt so bad because of all the water I drank. Okay, so I did the ultrasound, and 2 days later after that, I went back to the doctor and for my results, and he was just like, he got my folder, my paperwork. He's like, and he read the results. He's like, everything is fine. He's like, your uterus is fine, your ovaries are fine, your cervix is fine. Nothing was out of the ordinary. And I was just like, that's great, but that doesn't help me. It's like, oh my god. So he is like, well, we can do several things. I can put you on birth control pills, and that can control your bleeding. I was like, no, no, no. I was like, no. And he's like, you can get a hysterectomy. I'm like, no, my husband wants to have a baby sometime. So I was like, that's out of the question. He's like, well, then I guess you'll just have to be taking iron pills the rest of your life. And I'm like, God. I was like, come on. So that is that from 2017. And I mean, taking iron is not a big deal. It really isn't. I usually just take it with my other pills. But like I said, I get lazy sometimes in taking it, and it shows. It shows. Um, some of the symptoms I have had over the years, when my blood count or my iron count's low, I get pins and needles in my fingertips and in my lips. Um, I can get out of breath. I get colder a lot quicker. Like I'm a lot colder. Um, I told you about the heart thing. What else? Fatigue. Oh my gosh, fatigue from iron deficiency is no joke. And of course, when you're iron deficient and when you suffer from depression, and then you have your antidepressant medication makes you sleepy. It sucks. It sucks. It really does. But I just have to chalk it up. I honestly think I'm anemic because I am a woman, and I do um, menstruate kind of heavy. I always have. Like my first 3 days would be like the heaviest, and then it would taper off. And but as I've gotten older, my cycles have gotten a little bit weirder. And then I start on these new medications, and my body is like, "What are you doing? Let me screw up something for you. Oh, let me screw up your menstrual cycle." And I can get like 2 periods a month and stuff until my body gets used to the medication, and it sucks really bad. It's like, oh my god. um, So I mean, I guess that's what we're gonna. It's gonna be chalked up to the fact that I'm a woman who has heavy menstrual cycles. Now, it's not like heavy to the point where I'm, bleeding through a pad every hour. No, God, no. And I feel bad for all you ladies out there who suffer with that. That would drive me crazy. I would be like, give me a hysterectomy now. How many more pairs of underwear do I have to ruin? But yeah. So, and in order to find out if you're anemic, it's just a simple blood test. It is. You can get it with your. It's called. You can just get it with your CBC, and it's not a big deal. But so the iron I'm currently taking, and I take different kinds of iron pills. I mean, I take, and this is I take these. It's all backwards, isn't it? Spring Valley Iron, 65 milligram. I take two. Um, I find if I take two, I'm better. And I know that after a week of me taking just twice a day, I feel so much better. And then, of course, because I feel better, I'm like, oh, I don't need to take them anymore. And I stop taking them. That is my weakness right there. So I got to get better at being consistent in taking them because I know in the long run, it will help me. So, oh boy, I need some water or something. I'm so sorry that this video is so long, but I wanted to share the story with you guys. And maybe it'll help someone. I don't know. So, but I've been wanting to make it for actually a month, and I just haven't gotten around to doing it. So, but I have now, and I will end it with this. I hope you guys are doing fabulous, and I hope you all have a wonderful, if you're in America, Thanksgiving next week. I might post a video. I might not. I don't know what we're gonna do. So, but I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. We all have a lot to be thankful and blessed for. Don't forget that, even in the hard times. And I will say goodbye. Bye, you guys.